Did you grow up with both parents?
Yeah, well, kind of. So my dad passed away. I grew up with both parents. I'm a junior. Brett Fitzgerald Hollins Jr, rest in peace. He passed away when I was 5 years old. He was driving home from a dialysis and crashed like a mile from the house, bro. Like a mile, bro. It was right down the street. But you're not supposed to drive after that. So I guess he had an episode, crashed right down the street. And my mother was then raising us. I met my stepdad probably 2.5 years later. Memory's a little foggy, but give or take a few months. But 2.5 years later, I met him. And he was a Marine. Really good dude, bro. There was 3 of us. My mom was raising 3 kids, and so I believe at the time he was maybe 26. Yeah, I couldn't imagine being a 27-year-old dude coming in and taking on 3 kids. I couldn't imagine that. So I tip my hat to him for sure.
All boys?
So my older brother, Ricky, he was 6 years older than me. And then my little sister, Brittany, me and her from the same dad. My older brother had a different dad, me and her from the same dad. And then Victoria came along a while later, probably like 5 years later, maybe.
So your stepfather, you said, was 27, came in and just basically adopted 3 kids.
Yeah.
How did he do as a father? Was he present? Was he involved?
He did his best, right? Like he stepped into an impossible situation. And so my brother, his dad was still alive. So to try to be a parent to him, my older brothers are going to resist. Me, I'm kind of following in my older brother's footsteps. So I'm seeing Ricky, and he's just like, you're not my dad. And I'm introduced to this person, like that's how I met him, was my mom saying, this is going to be your new dad. So there was no build up. It was just straight to it, like, this authoritarian figure. And the military did a lot of good things for us and him. It got us, out of a pretty tough situation. But it made it challenging for him to be the dad that I know he wanted to be, which he ended up becoming later. He was very authoritarian, do what I say, that's it, And so the only conversations we really had growing up was me being told, like, you need to go do this, So we didn't really have that relationship develop until later.
So he definitely acquired that from the Marines.
Yeah,
and
100%.
Yeah, very structured upbringing, very clear communication.
Yeah, direct.
Like imposing will almost as well.
Yeah, very direct.
When did you start to see that coming out? Was there any rebellion from that?
Yeah, like from the jump. But like I said, it was more because I'm looking at my older brother. Because, once my dad passed away, I really looked at Ricky as, not really the father figure, but definitely the role model. And so I'm seeing him and he's not listening to him. So why should I? And so I started following in Ricky's footsteps. But, that wasn't that good either. It was 2 opposite ends of the spectrums when it comes to the way they live their life as men. And so the rebellion happened quick, like really quick.
Were you acting out with drugs, getting involved in criminal activity?
Not drugs, but I was definitely towing the line when it came to the groups that I would be around, the people that I interacted with. I was towing the line for sure. I kind of was living in 2 different worlds, per se. On one side of it, people are looking at me and they're like, oh, he's a good kid. He's in church. You know what I'm saying? And then on the other side, people are like, bro, like, you're going to get yourself hurt. You know what I'm saying? You're going to hurt somebody else. Like, and the 2 sides didn't really know each other. It was 2 completely different worlds. And so I was really like a chameleon playing the fence, and that's a dangerous game.
That's dangerous because I can relate. It's like Jekyll and Hyde, right? Yeah. You're living this one way, and then in the house, you're living a complete opposite way. Then you start to learn manipulation. And that's dangerous. It's very dangerous at a young age.
Yeah, it was scary.
You grew up in California.
Yeah. So
South?
I started in Richmond,
Okay.
Virginia. Then we actually moved to Japan, when my stepdad came in. We moved to Okinawa,
He was a
Japan.
Marine.
Yep. I mean, we got stationed out there for 4 years. And then we moved to Southern California. And that's really where I spent my developmental years, pretty much from 8th grade until like 21.
Did you pick up on Japanese when you were there?
Yeah, I was fluent for a little bit. But like we went to a Japanese school. So my mother, she taught at the Japanese school. And so we got to go there for free. And you had to learn it. You had to learn what these people were saying about you. And so I got good at it, but my sister was just on a whole different level.
Yeah.
Like she could translate songs, like she could, like it was crazy. And she held on to it a lot longer than me. Once we came back to America, I don't need that no more. And it kind of went away pretty quick. But she kept practicing it. She would still do workbooks and stuff. So, yeah.
I feel like if you're not using it, it goes away.
It goes away quick.
Yeah.
So quick.
What ages were you in Japan?
I believe I got there when I was 8 and we left when I was 12.
So those are key growth years. What was it? I mean, listen, as a black male in the US, speaking minority wise, but now in Japan, were you able to adapt to that?
It was better. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I felt like people didn't really look at you some type of way there. There was more of like a mystic about you. It wasn't like you were taken as a threat. People wanted to know who you were. They wanted to know why you were there. And so it was a way better experience for sure. And I knew that at a young age, because in Virginia, we had our neighborhood, we had a forest, and then the white neighborhood was across the forest. And we used to get chased out of there. We'd ride our bikes and they'd end up running us out of there. And so Japan was completely different. Like they loved us wherever we went. So
yeah, more curiosity.
Yeah,
and
for
engaging and wanting to understand and learn more.
And they're just naturally like a really respectful culture. Naturally, like they don't really hold biases. And I think that the world can learn a lot from just the way that they treat people over there. So it's kind of like a respect battle, like who can give the most respect in any type of situation. So they won't let you outdo them.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
What's crime like over there? Is it pretty minimal?
Drugs? Minimal. Like drugs is a huge no-go over there. So like a lot of things is just happening off alcohol.
Yeah.
So I know when I was out there, like people weren't even allowed to leave the base for the most part because, Marines, soldiers get drunk, now they're out off base fighting. So like the base was shut down for pretty much a long time when I was out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're 12 years old, you go back to California. Well, you go to California because you went from Virginia to Japan, California. What happens next? You go into high school soon after.
Mm-hmm. So I came in 8th grade and like we went to another private school. My mother did her best to try to keep us away from public schools.
Yeah.
And, talking to her to this day, like that's one of her biggest regrets. You got to experience the world. And a private school puts a bubble over you and pretty much tries to pretend like these things don't exist. And once people graduate and they see, whoa, this world is really like, they go crazy, bro, because they've never seen it. So they get involved. The amount of people that I know that went to my school that are now on drugs, just messed up. A lot, bro. The percentage, I believe the percentage might be higher than public schools.
That's crazy.
Truly.
People are like killing themselves to get their kids in private schools, at least down here in Florida. It's wild.
I mean, if you find a good one, I think it's worth it.
Yeah.
But I don't think sheltering is the key. I think controlled exposure is. Like, you have to witness things. If you don't witness it, you're not going to know how to deal with it when it comes. And so people want to kind of shield their kids and protect them. The world is going to happen regardless. It's inevitable. And if they've never interacted or been around any of these things, they're going to have no idea how to respond when it comes. So it's a tricky one. You want to give the kids the best life that they can have. But if you protect them too much, like the world is going to eat them up when they step out into it.
I had a buddy of mine I went to college with, and his parents were very strict. and I wouldn't say sheltered, but strict. He went away to college, just went off the deep end.
Yeah.
And you see that a lot because people don't know how to handle it once they do experience it.
That freedom's different, man.
It is. And what you're exposed to, it's much different. People react differently.
For sure.
So, all right. So you're in high school. Where are you thinking, in terms of what your career would look like following high school? When did that come into play? What were you doing through high school? And were you thinking about going to college?
Not really. I thought I was going to the league, to be honest. Like,
you were a good basketball player.
I was, I was the best in my high school. I was the best in the area. And so in my mind, like, we're getting, our coach is getting calls from D1s. So I'm like, that's the only thing we're entertaining. And it was, so my growth spurt happened really late. I was not athletic. I was not tall. Like, everything kind of just changed my junior year in high school. And my whole life just shifted, like, people wanted to be my friend. People respected me. Girls liked me. Like, I went from really a nobody to just this person that got so much attention out of nowhere. And I didn't really know how to handle it. And like, leading up to it, I was, like I said, a loner. And I didn't know how to verbalize my thoughts and opinions, my emotions. So I was bullied a lot growing up because of that. And because of kind of like the authoritarian way that we kind of grew up, I was afraid to kind of stand up for myself, And so, like, bad things would happen. Like, the private school, people are drawing swastikas on my desk. One time coming out of football practice, I put on my backpack, it's covered in piss, like peeing in my backpack. And like, that was tough. Like, because I was embarrassed and I was angry, but I was too afraid to do anything about it.
Mm.
And so, I go home, I'm crying, like, and then like a shift happened, that day a shift happened. And it was like, I'm not going to let nobody treat me like this anymore. And I started fighting. And I realized, like, oh, wow, like, I do this well. And, you're at that stupid age where people kind of fantasize, and they put you on a pedestal if you fight back then in high school. Like, like, girls loved it. Dudes wanted to be a friend. And so I'm like, oh, like, so I can actually get attention for this. So that's kind of what I became. And it spiraled, bro. It spiraled out of control. Like, I went from nobody to, I'm 16 years old fighting grown men because that was what I was known for. And I had to keep that image because I was afraid if I grew and fell back from it, I would lose the attention that I was getting. And so, like, the last 2 years of high school was very, very strange. So, like, I'm at the private school, but all of my friends were either graduated or at the public school. I didn't hang out with people over there, like, for one, I realized the way they treated me before my growth spurt and all that. So I didn't want nothing to do with them. But two, I just felt way cooler on this side, with these people, like, to be 16 hanging out with a 25-year-old, like, you don't realize that 25-year-old's a loser. He's hanging out with a 16. You don't even know that, so you're looking at this like, yo, this is my boy. And thinking back on it, it's like, wow, like, I couldn't imagine, like, hanging out every day with a high schooler, at my age. I couldn't imagine,
of course.
So, like, the last 2 years were very weird, bro.
Your identity, it must be very hard to, put a finger on your identity, not only from a physical standpoint. You hit a growth spurt. What are you now? 6'4", 6'5"?
Yeah,
6'4". What did you play? Point guard? Shooting guard.
Yeah.
So you get good. Were you playing basketball in 9th and 10th grade or no?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But
one foot in, 1 foot out.
I rode the bench. I was just there. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't have no part in it. I was just there. I was tripping over my own shoes. 10th grade, I started playing, like, really well. Junior year is when it kind of took off.
Yeah. How many points were you averaging a game?
So my junior year, probably 15 and 10.
Yep.
Senior year is when all my offers started coming off. I started off the year averaging like 23 and 15. broke my ankle, literally blocking somebody's shot. I broke my
You
ankle.
came down and broke your ankle.
I hit my head on the backboard. And I came down, fell on my ankle, broke it. And so I missed a lot that game, that year.
Mm-hmm.
But I still had a good enough year to where I got invited to the All-Star game for Southern California. It was Riverside County versus San Bernardino County. I was the only dude in our whole like radius that got invited there. And the first person from my school to get invited. And so I got a lot of my offers from there. Ended up headlining that game because I led the comeback. We was losing, led the comeback. And we got a lot of offers, man. I ended up graduating because the All-Star game was in April. I ended up graduating in June. I finished that year with a 1.7, bro. And lost every offer I had.
You have to keep your grades up.
1.7, bro. 1.7.
Do you think a lot of that had to do with, hanging out with older kids, the lost identity, the distractions? I mean, you were getting girls too now at this point, right? Like,
I went to not even be proud of it. I went to 4 different proms. You know what I'm saying? At different schools with people with different girls, and so I was just all over the place.
Yeah,
I was not grounded at all, and honestly, I just felt like once you get a little bit of success, you can either do one or two things. You can look at it and be like, oh, I have so much further to go. Or you can be like, I've arrived. I made it. And that's kind of the route I took, was like, I'm here, I made it and I stopped working. I stopped grinding, and you can lose it so quick.
Dude, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
I am 7 years sober, and one of the biggest things, I identify as an alcoholic, and one of the biggest things with alcoholism is you get a little bit of success and it's like, okay, cool. I can coast for a while. I've made it. I made it to that first level or whatever level, but I made it. Yeah. And you take a little bit and then the procrastination starts to happen and then things just fucking implode on you. Because you're not constantly doing the work that got you there. That's with anything. That's with mental health. That's with your job. It's with anything. And it's consistency. Consistency is very hard. Discipline and consistency are very hard to maintain. So you graduate, you finish with a 1.7. A lot of your offers are off the table. What do you do next?
Funny story, right? So my coach is telling me, look, these schools are still looking at you, but you got to go JUCO for a year. You got to go junior college.
Junior college, yeah.
Junior college for a year. And I'm like, I'm not trying to do that. I'm above that. Right?
Yep.
And he was like, nah, you got to go to this school. They're one of the best in the state. They were Final Four the last 3 years. And so I'm like, all right, cool. And so I show up to the practice. The coach is waiting for me, in the parking lot. Gonna love to have you here, blah, blah, blah. The guys are excited. Go inside the gym. They got 6'10" dudes shooting threes, grown men with full beards, built like LeBron. I'm like, bro, I'm 17. I'm 170 pounds soaking wet. I'm like, yo, these are grown men. People don't understand the JUCO scene is different. Junior college is way different. You got dudes that are
balling
25, 26 years old, with 2 kids. This is my last chance. And I'm a 17-year-old kid, la la da 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 da. I don't even know what real life is. And they understand how important this is, bro. And so, long story short, we're hooping, and I got dunked on for the first time in my life. And I got dunked on so hard, I thought I broke my back. I'm not lying. His name was Roger, right? They called him Roger Rabbit. Posted me up, 6'5", posted me up, drop step, dunked on me. I slid to the wall, and I had to get carried to my car. There's nothing worse in that situation than for the whole gym to see you get dunked on, and you can't even walk away on your own. That was emasculating.
Yeah, it's pretty humbling.
That was the worst experience I ever had, bro.
Did you ever go back after?
No. I never went back, bro. I left, and the coaches hit me up, hey, you know what I'm saying? Just stick with it. I promise, we're gonna love you here, blah, blah, blah. I'm just not even texting back. I'm that embarrassed. he dunked on me so hard, I joined the military, bro. Like, I went to a recruiting office.
You went right to a recruiting office.
And I said,
Fuck
when
this.
I could walk again.
I'm done.
It was 3 days before I could walk on my own. And like, I went to the recruiting office. I'm like, I need to go. And so I joined the Marines, the Marine Corps Reserves, and I went into boot camp October 15th.
What was boot camp like?
Crazy.
I hear it's very tough.
Mentally. Like, physically, I'm an athlete anyways.
Yeah.
So like, mentally though, there's times you're not going to bed till 2 a.m. and now they're screaming with the lights on at 4:30. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was more mentally like just exhausting. You're on edge all the time. I'm not gonna say it evolved me, but it gave me an idea of what I could become, you know, because I still didn't make that change, you know, and like that's when I kind of knew there was something wrong with me, because I went through this whole process and I did it well. I left boot camp, you know, as a squad leader. And so in a platoon with 100 people, 4 people are chosen to standouts, and I was one of those 4. And I still didn't come home with the discipline that I needed to be the man that I was meant to become. And that was when I knew, like, oh my God, there's something wrong with me. You know, because as soon as I came home from boot camp, I was back kicking it with the same dudes that I grew up with, you know, back in the streets. And so it was a problem.
Were you at some point just telling yourself, or at least justifying it, like, I'm hanging out with these guys again, but I'm still young. I can pull myself out of it eventually. Or were you fully convinced that there was something kind of wrong mentally?
No, I thought that at some point it would just change, right? I thought at some point, like, I would meet the right girl or I'd get the right opportunity. And everything was external, you know, it wasn't internal. So, like, I was still kind of not taking any accountability with it. Like, no, this is a me problem. I always thought of it as like a situational problem, you know, but it was really inside me. So, yeah, it took a while, bro. It took a while for that to hit.
If I get that job, if I get that girl, if I get that car,
yeah,
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's going to solve all my problems.
Changes everything. But like there's a saying, no matter where you go, there you are.
The problem still follows you.
It follows you.
So you finish boot camp. What happens next?
Since I'm in the reserves, I'm stationed exactly where I grew up. And so I'm on the base doing my Marine Corps stuff. As soon as the day's over, I'm back with my people. You know, so like I was living both sides still, you know, and I'm doing this for a few years, and it reached a point to where it was like, you know what? I don't know if like I want to do this anymore. I need to change. I had a really good friend, childhood, Danny. He's getting ready to leave for the Army, National Guard, and he lived up in Grants Pass, Oregon. And so I told him, like, look, like, what would it look like if I tried to, you know, join the Army? And his recruiter called me and he told him, look, there's a form you fill out. You can transfer straight from the Marine Corps to the National Guard. You know, I'll fill out this form. If your unit signs off on it, like, we'll take you. So I talked to my unit, and like, I was a good Marine, you know, like I lived a really weird life outside of there. But when I showed up, I was on point. And so they just wanted me to be okay. You know, they were just like, if this is what you really want to do, like, we'll do it. Like, we want to help you. And so they signed off. I get it back to the Army dude. I drive up there and I'm getting ready to transfer to the National Guard. My friend Danny leaves for boot camp. And 3 days later, like, my whole life changes, bro. Like, before I even step foot into an Army uniform, like 3 days into me being in Oregon, like my whole life just kind of burns, bro.
What happened?
I go to jail, bro. For the first time in my life, I get arrested and I go to jail. And I've never felt so, like, defeated in my life, bro.
Give us the story. What happened? How did you were going to with the paperwork.
Yeah. So
your buddy went into the Army. You're in Oregon.
Yeah. So
what happened?
So I gave him the paperwork. All right, cool. It's going to take a couple of weeks to process, but then you'll be with this unit. Like, all right, so I'm going to hang out. Right. So his little brother, Tyler, was still there. And there was a college about 45 minutes from where we were at. And I'm like, okay, so if I join the National Guard, like I can play ball and I can hoop. And so I got to get connected to somebody at Southern Oregon University. So I'm trying to meet people. I go up to the campus, not meeting people. You know, I go to a restaurant near the campus, and you know, one of the servers there she was a student, and you know, we're talking cordial conversation, and she's like, you know what, like you should come to a party with me. You know, throwing a party tonight. You should come. Like, is there going to be any basketball players there? She's like, yeah, they usually show up. You know, just come out, introduce you to people. All right, cool. So I ended up driving out to that party, and I show up. I'm the only brother there. No black people. Like, it was a party being thrown by the wrestling team, right? Most wrestling teams don't have too much melanin in them, you know? So, like, they were not too happy I was there. And, like, I felt the energy the moment I got there. It was a pretty big party, though. It was like 100 people. I'm like, man, ain't nothing gonna happen. It is what it is. Like, and I drove, like, 35 minutes. So, man, I'm not about to just leave. So, we hanging out. I'm hanging out. And, you know, I'm seeing these dudes mean bugging me the whole party, right? And I'm just trying to ignore them. You know, I'm talking to people, blah, 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 blah. And the party starts getting a little out of hand. And, you know, the girl throwing a party, she's like, hey, look, like, thank y'all for coming. If we don't know you, you got to leave. Right? All right, cool. Like, I'm ready to go anyway. It's like 12:30. You know, so man, I'm ready to go home anyways. And so I go up to her to say bye. Right? She's like, oh, no, you don't got to leave. Like, talking to everybody else, like, you're with me. Like, look, I got a drug test in the morning anyways, you know, because I applied for this Lithia car dealership. I was a salesman, so I had a drug test at 7 a.m. So I'm like, I'm going to go home. It's good. Thank you. It was nice meeting you, blah, blah, blah. And I go to leave, and these dudes stop me as I'm walking out. It's like a group of 5, right? They stop me. Hey, what are you doing here? I was like, I mean, I came for the party, you know, but I'm on my way out now. And she goes, or they go, like, hey, you shouldn't have came here. You know what I'm saying? Like, you heard her say everybody got to go. And I'm like, look, I'm leaving, but y'all in the way. And so I end up walking around them, walking out the door, and door shuts. Got like 3 little steps, a little porch. I walk down the porch. By the time I get like 2 or 3 steps past the porch, I hear the door slam behind me, right? Boom. Open and slam. I turn back. The dudes are following me down the steps, right? So I turn around, I'm like, oh man, right? No, man. I got, you know, Danny's little brother with me, Tyler. And I told Tyler, watch out, bro. Go stand on the side. You know, I'm like, yo, like, what are y'all trying to do? Man, what's up? And dude starts taking his shirt off. He's like, hey, man, you shouldn't have came here. And now I'm getting mad. You know, I tried to be cool, but now I'm starting to get mad. I'm like, hey, bro, like, I came, I got invited. I'm leaving. I don't know what the issue is, but whatever y'all want to do, we can do it, you know? And so now my mouth is coming out. Right? Now I'm barking back. And the dude takes his shirt off, throws it to the ground. I'm looking like, all right, man, like, there's 5 of you, you know? I got to do something. So big one standing right here. And that's what I went for. I just swung at the big one. Boom. Hit him. He kind of stumbles back. They all kind of just rush me. Get him. Right? So I'm fighting him. Right? Everything's going okay. Then I trip on a curb and I hit the ground. I'm on the ground now. Once you go on the ground and you get jumped, it's bad. Right? And so I'm on the ground. I got one of them on top of me. Right? I'm like holding his head right here. Got another dude to the right that's kicking me. Right? And then another one that's on the left that's trying to hit me, but he's really just hitting the dude that's on top. And I'm just holding him like, hey, bro, like, get off me. Right? He's like, no, screw you, blah, blah, blah. He's punching me, right? Like, I told him, I got a knife, bro. Get off me or I'm going to stab you. And I say, F you, right? Pull out my knife and I stab him. He rolls over, gets off me. I get up, big one's on me. Stab him too. Gets off me. Put the knife in my pocket. Like, it was weird because it was like a surreal moment there where they don't really know what happened. I know what happened. And we're just kind of all like looking at each other. They just thought I hit him really hard. And like, I'm looking at him like, hey, y'all got to go inside. Like, get a towel, get something. Right? And it's just like a daze, bro. I'm kind of dazed. They're dazed. Like, and what brought me out of it was cop car came flying down. Cops pull in. I'm on the run now. I'm gone. They chased me for like an hour, and I got caught at 7-Eleven, down the street. My taxi pulled up like 30 seconds too late. But that's where I got caught. I got arrested. Charged me with assault 1, assault 2, assault 3, riot. And my bail was $3 million. My bail was $3 million. And once like the Marine Corps intervened, hey, like, we need to get our Marine back. Because at this point I wasn't in the Army yet. Paperwork never went through. We got to get our Marine back. And they dropped it down to $250,000. So I bailed out after 3 months.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Did the 2 guys that got stabbed live?
Yeah. They weren't hurt too bad.
Yeah. Oh my God. So you pay the bail. You go back to California with the Marines. Yeah. Do you eventually, you go back for your court date, your arraignment and everything, that whole process? Do you end up doing jail time for it?
So I fought my case for a year and a half. And in that year and a half, that's when I went and played JUCO ball while I was fighting my case. And so I went to Maricosta Community College, started playing basketball. Great coach there, Anthony Taylor, Patrick Conahan, great coaches. They gave me an opportunity. They knew what I had going on. They're like, look, man, just come clear your mind here.
What year is this, by the way?
This is 2016.
2016. How old are you?
I just turned 21.
Okay.
Yeah. They're like, look, like, come play, So I'm playing there. I'm getting offers. Every school that offered me ended up finding out about my situation and rescinding their offer. Because all it took was a quick Google search. Like, coaches were look up to keep up with my stats. And you Google my name, the first 10 things. It's just,
Stabbing.
Yeah. Hollins arrested, all that. So like every offer I got just gone. They'd come in and then they go within the next week. It got to the point where I wouldn't even get excited anymore because I knew they'd be out of there. So, it was a year and a half. And at the time, I'm still training with the Marines. I'm doing my thing. I had to go through 2 separate, sort of courts. And the Marine Corps found me innocent under self-defense. They got the camera footage because there was a camera in the corner by the dumpster that saw what happened. They saw them follow me outside. They saw them on top of me. They saw and
engage with you first.
Yeah. Yep. And the state of Oregon found me guilty.
Found you fucking guilty.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let me ask you this. In the state of Oregon, they didn't have weapons, but there were 5 or 6 of them.
Yeah.
Does that, I'm assuming you're not allowed to use a weapon, even if there are 5 or 6 guys jumping you?
I think it was a tough situation, right? Because I wasn't like this, the city that I was in wasn't a city known for situations like this, so it was like something had to happen.
Yeah.
It was too big. I was on the news for 8 months straight. So my friend, like, he got the call in basic training, this is what happened. And he comes home and he's calling me every week. Bro, you're still on the news. You're still on the news. Like, this is even after I bailed out and I'm home playing. You're still on the news. Like, something had to happen. And what they said is, I escalated it from a fist fight to a knife fight, even though I wasn't the aggressor. It's because I escalated it. So that's what the DA was saying at the time. And so, it's tough, right? It was tough because I'm not going to sit here and act like I was perfect, right? Like, obviously, I turned around, I could have kept walking. You know, they weren't between me and my car, you know? So the fact that I turned around, like, that kind of takes away the idea that I had to stand my ground, because I didn't. I could have just kept walking. And like, that was one of the biggest learning points is like, bro, 5 minutes of pride cost me 5 years of my life, bro. And like, knowing how quickly things can change just because you're not willing to humble yourself in the situation, be like, man, you know what, y'all got it. I don't got to prove nothing to y'all, you know, but I felt like I had to prove something. And so it was a tough pill to swallow, but like, I understood in that moment, you know, even then, like, I'm not like the victim in this situation.
You know what? A lot of people can't do what you just did. Let's take accountability.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect it a lot. We all make mistakes, right? The ones that can understand, fully process the situation and own their actions and take accountability for those actions is what differentiates us now down the road. How much time did you get in jail?
70 months.
70?
70.
How many years is that?
70. 5 years, 10 months. I served 4.5. Good behavior. You know, I went in there and like my first year was tough, bro. My first year, it was really hard. Just kind of seeing all the people that I was playing with on TV, you know, playing ball with. I should have been there with them. Kind of seeing the world kind of just go on without you while you're inside of this bubble. And, you know, it was tough. And I'm not, look, if anybody tells you that they weren't scared going in there the first time, they're lying to you. It was a scary situation. It don't matter how tough you are, you know, like going in there, not knowing what to expect, knowing what the possibilities are. They're either lying or they're stupid. That's the only two things, because anybody with real sense, like, there's a moment of fear where it's like, man, like, this is about to be my life. My first night in there, I'm on the phone with my grandparents. And dude, like, got beat up in the shower. It just like walks out the shower and collapses next to me. I'm like, what? Like, guard starts yelling, get in your cells, locked down. That was within an hour of me being in prison. I'm like, yo, this is about to be a long 5 years. It's gonna be a long time.
Were you in jail or prison?
I was in jail at first.
Okay.
And then, like, once you get sentenced, you're to prison. I only spent a week in jail after my sentence. So
state ran prison. Okay. That's wild. Were you ever tested in prison?
In what sense?
Physically tested, fighting,
I mean, everybody
politically
has to.
tested.
Yeah, everybody has to. Like, it just comes with it, right? Like, but if you're solid, you know, and you start to realize that things don't come your way unless you're setting yourself up for it to come that way. I wasn't into gambling. I wasn't gangbanging, you know, like, at the moment I showed up there, like, I told, you know, I'm getting recruited by this, I'm getting recruited by that. I told, look, I'm not on that type of time. Like, I trust that I can handle this by myself. You know, that was exactly what I told my cellmate, you know, who at the time was from Hoover. I told him, like, I think I got this. Like, you know, he said, you know what that means, right? I was like, I know what it means, but, you know, I think I'm gonna be all right. Right? And so I just kind of stood on that, and people respect it. Right? The things they don't respect is, like we kind of talked about in the beginning, playing the fence. You know, if you draw a hard line in the concrete and say, this is what I stand for, these are my values, and you stick to that, people will start to support you. But if you're going back and forth, BS is going to come your way every single time, you know, every single time. So, like, there were situations that I, you know, could have been a part of that people kind of shielded me from, because they're like, hey, bro, you ain't got time for this. You know what I'm saying? Like, just, hey, like, get that away from him. I had one, you know, OG in there literally be like, bro, like, they were drinking, you know, they would make alcohol. OG was like, hey, bro, like, they tried to give me a cup. Hey, bro, get that away from him. That's what he said. Like, push the cup away. You know, he got a hoop. You know, that's what they looked at me as, the hooper. You
Yeah.
know? So they all knew I wanted to go home and play college ball. So like they really helped me stick to that.
The Hoover and the Hooper
You know what I'm
together.
saying? Yeah, just like that, bro. And it was a match made in heaven, bro, because it was just okay. Like he was with the nonsense, and because of that, like it rarely came my way. You know, it rarely came my way.
Was he a solid dude?
Look, most of the people that I was around were solid.
Really?
Yeah, most of the people. Some of the best
Hoover's
men I
a
met.
solid?
Yeah, some of the best men I ever met were in there. You know, and you know, they made a mistake.
Yeah.
And like what they did for me is they realized like, okay, this is somebody that can actually make it out of here. You know, so we're not gonna even let him be involved in stuff like this. Even when I was in crash out mode, and I'm just like, bro, I'm well, whatever. No, watch out, bro. Watch out. I'm saying, let us take care of it. Let's take care of it. So much to the point to where there was one situation where one of my friends, he was a white dude, right? And, you know, I was looking out for him. You know, I had his back, and one of his people came and he was high on something. He was tripping and tried to crash out in the office in front of everybody. And I stood up like, hey, bro, like, watch out. You know what I'm saying? He's not on that time, you know? Like, I'm trying to protect both of them. Just go back to your unit. You know what I'm saying? Why do you want to do that up here? Just go back, right? And I walk out of the admin building, and there that dude is. And he comes up, like, hey, bro, what are you trying to do? What's up? It's like, honestly, bro, I'm not trying to do nothing. But at the end of the day, like, this isn't something you want to do either. So I'm trying to help you go back to your bunk, right? And as he's walking away, he called me the B word. You know, I'm like, all right, bro. All right. So like, no go. No go. Like, if you let that slide, you know. And so coming into the rest of the day, like all right, we're about to go handle this. Right? I have to. The white dude that's running the situation comes up to me. Like I'm walking out and I'm talking to my people. White dude comes up to me. He goes, hey, bro, like, we're thinking like, oh, get your shoes on. Like they wanna handle it, right? He comes up with his hands like, hey, bro, like, I just want you to know, like, we really respect what you're trying to do for us in here. You know what I'm saying? The situation is taken care of. Bro, that never happens. You know what I'm saying? That never happens. Like, it's like the situation is taken care of, right?
Yeah.
30 minutes later, the alarm starts going off. Alarm starts going off. Dude gets carried out. Like, I'm like, yo, what? Like, at that point, I knew, like, God does not play about me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I had a bubble, bro, like a bubble where people just looked and they're like, yo, protect that dude at all costs.
Yeah.
Even people that were outside of my race. And, like, that was how I tried to live my life in there. That's how I tried to do my time, is just building bridges. Because there's so much division in there, bro. And I wasn't the type to where, like, so because I'm not a gang member, you can't control me. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I'm going to talk to whoever I want to talk to. And because I moved that way and I never kind of faltered, I built a lot of close relationships to people of all different backgrounds and races. And you start to see there's other people venturing out and doing the same thing. You know, they're like, bro, I'm not living by your rules. You know what I'm saying? Like, who comes to prison and thinks that they about to establish a bunch of rules for other grown men to live by? You know, we all lost. That's why we're here, you know? And that was what I knew from the jump. I didn't look up to nobody in there. I did respect people, right? There were people I respected, but I didn't look up to a single person in there because they were a loser just like me. We're all losers. And so because of that, I knew, like, all right, well, now that we understand that, how do we win now? How do we figure out what's next? How do I help change your mindset? So I started teaching classes, bro.
In prison.
In prison. I'm teaching classes. I'm giving speeches. They're moving me around to give speeches, bro, to inmates. And I'm just like, yo, like, I'm giving them, I wouldn't say the blueprint, but I'm letting them know that there's more that's possible than what they think it is. Most of them think this is the end of the road. It's just the life that they got to live. Nah, there's an exit. There's an exit ramp. There's an exit ramp, you know, and it's like you can take that exit ramp and you can take it wherever you want to take it, but you got to be the one to turn the steering wheel and get off. Nobody can do it for you. And so I'm teaching classes, bro. I'm building relationships. I'm showing love. And I'm fighting for us in there. I'm advocating. You know, I'm talking to the staff like, this rule does not make sense, you know? And y'all claim that y'all are trying to rehabilitate, but what are y'all really doing? And how does this rule put into place, like, how does that benefit our transition back into society at all? Because what people don't get is 95% of people that are sentenced to prison are coming home at some point, you know? So we have this lock them in a box, throw away the key type mentality that makes no sense because these people are going to come home and they're going to be your neighbors, you know? They're going to have kids that are going to be in school with your kids. And we're not teaching them how to like function and be productive in society. We're teaching them how to survive in a world that is polar opposite of what this world is supposed to be, which is kind and loving and considerate. That's the opposite of the environment that they're trying to put you in there. Like we were just talking about with the inmate, you know, that got killed in New York. It's one of those things where if that's all you see and witness, how do you expect this person to function coming home? They don't even value themselves, you know? And so like that was what I was doing, man. I was just teaching, bro. I was trying to, you know, help people and I was helping people get their GEDs, you know, planning family events so people get to see their family better than just sitting in a visiting room. So we're doing games, you know, people able to play catch with their kids. You know, that was just what my heart was in there. So like because of that, like I said, like for that dude to come in and look at me and be like, we appreciate everything that you're trying to do for us. I want you to know that that situation is taken care of. Like I said, that was such a like surreal moment, bro. Like I really felt like I had an angel over me at that point. That's like, keep doing what you're doing. Because there was days where it was discouraging. You know, when you pour so much into somebody and then they crash out over a gambling debt, it's discouraging, bro. But to see that it actually did matter and it was like recognized, like, oh, you're fighting for us, bro. We appreciate it. Like that meant a lot to me.
When you started giving back in prison, you were basically sharing the message of hope. These people still have to take the action, and some of them did.
Yeah.
But you were showing them that there is another way. There is an opportunity to continue to rebuild your life, even in prison. And then when you get out, you have something to follow up with and chase. Was that a turning point for you?
Oh man, that was a cheat code. I'm not gonna lie. Like, because I was in a really bad place at the beginning of that. The moment I started like focusing on other people and the problems that I saw in there, my whole experience changed. You know, I wake up with more energy. You know, I got a sense of purpose now. Because I think for human beings in general, but strictly talking men, purpose is the most important thing you can have in life as a man. We need to feel like we're doing something that is meaningful. And for a lot of people, like that changes, right? Like your daughter, you know what I'm saying? Like when you have your daughter, it's like, this is what I'm working for now. Ourselves isn't big enough because truth be told, none of us care about ourselves that much. You know, we have to find that external like purpose that we can look to when things get hard. Because look, if your purpose is yourself, the moment something comes that's bigger than you, it's going to stop you in your tracks. Your purpose has to be bigger than yourself. And that's what I was pushing. Find your purpose. What is that? And like it forced them to be vulnerable because men ain't trying to talk about that. They're not trying to talk about that thing, you know, that they really feel, you know, that one thing that doesn't go away. And you want to find that. And when you find that, as painful as it is to realize you're now not fulfilling your purpose, it's also empowering because it's like, okay, now that you know what you're not doing, let's create a plan so you can do it, you know? And your purpose doesn't go away. That's the beauty about it. You can screw up your whole life and still fulfill your purpose. You know, it just takes a U-turn. It just takes you shifting your focus and your perspective and being like, I'm going to accomplish this. I'm going to make my mother happy no matter what. I'm going to show my daughter what it's like to be treated like a princess by a real man. Like, I'm going to be that for her to where she knows that I am the man, I am the type of man that I want my daughter to look for. You know what I'm saying? You want to teach your son what it means to be a real man in this world. You can accomplish that at any point in life, you know? It's just about shifting your focus so you do it. And so when I started like digging at it and showing them like, okay, now let's do it. Let's do it now. It's not too late. Let's do it. The shift was crazy, bro. The shift was crazy.
How did you finding your purpose play into finding your identity? We were talking about the lost identity. I went through a lost identity in college. I was all over the fucking place. I started abusing drugs.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier. When you found purpose, I feel like those two are directly correlated with one another. Were you pretty secure with who you are as a person?
Nah. Identity didn't come till later.
Okay.
Right. So purpose was a distraction from my loss of identity. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, that's why I said it was a cheat code. Because a lot of the anxiety, the depression I was having was because of this absence of identity. I found a sense of purpose when it came to helping people. I no longer had to look myself in the mirror no more because I'm too busy looking at everybody else. Mm-hmm. When you're so focused on everybody else's problems, you don't even have time to, be sad about your own ones. And that's why when you're in lines of work where you're giving back to people and to the community, you have to find time to take care of yourself too, because it's impossible when you're just pouring yourself out into other people to now pour back into yourself. So you've got to make that time. And so my identity didn't come till later. And honestly, like, I'm just now starting to discover my identity because it was so rooted in basketball. And this is my first time, like, where basketball isn't like the pillar of my life, that center pillar where everything revolves around it. Even while I was teaching classes, giving speeches, bro, like, I was still the hooper. Like, that's what people knew me as. Like, the moment I could get to the yard to work out, train, like, that's what I'm doing. I'm outside, bro, in 20-degree weather, shoveling the snow off the basketball court just so I could train. Like, it did not matter. Rain, it did not matter. Like, I'm out there training, trying to get ready to come home and play college ball because that was still, like, my sense of, like, direction in life. And so once that's all kind of gone away over the last 6 months, that's when the real battle began for, like, what is my identity? Because it's always been in external things. And now I'm starting to learn, like, okay, who is Brett? Who is Brett Hollins? I'm still learning that. So, but I'm enjoying it though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You came home in 2020?
21.
21. Mm-hmm. Were you released early because of COVID or no?
No. So I was released early because of, so the governor actually called the prison herself and told me that I'm coming home in 2 weeks. Yeah. Governor K. Brown.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, she found out about the things I was doing. Wow. Giving speeches. They actually took me out of the prison for a day. I got some dress clothes and I gave a speech to the city council in the area that I was in about community involvement in prison rehabilitation. And then they sent me back. I got back in my prison blues. But, like, that was a day for me, bro. That was a day. I ate real food, I rode in the car without being handcuffed in a box. Like, it was a trippy event. But yeah, she ended up calling, like, you know what, like, are you ready? You want to go home in 2 weeks? Exactly how the conversation was.
Did you freak out?
I didn't believe it, bro. I'm going to be honest. I thought I was being set up. I thought that they were playing games with me. I thought, it wasn't. The moment I walked out of the prison, I had my bag, like a little kid, had my bag.
Yeah,
and
over
I
your
ran
shoulder.
away from home. And I just ran, bro. I ran. I ran like the moment they let me out the gate because I thought that they were going to bring me back. And I'm going to be honest, it probably wasn't for a few months where it hit me like, yo, you're actually home.
What other tools did you implement in your life once you got out of prison? Do you believe in God?
Yeah, God is the pillar of everything for me. My life is an example of like God's hand. You know, my life is an example of that. My life is I'm a living testimony of what God can do for you. You know, if you just stay aligned with what His purpose is. You know, I have a very, very strong will. God's will is stronger, and so there was times where I definitely was on the verge of just like tapping out, crashing out. Like, and He just carried me, and so 100%. And like, I make sure people know that when I talk to them. Like, the things that I've gotten to experience and the way I got pulled from a horrible situation was able to make something positive from it. It wasn't me, you know. I was just walking in it, you know. This was God lighting the way the whole time. He made it clear as day the next step that I should make every single time. So there was no missteps, you know. I really let him take the wheel, you know. And so 100%, you know, my life is really, you can see God's fingerprints all over my life. And I could never take the credit for what He did.
Mm.
I'm just, my heart's beating, you know, and I just wake up and go about it. But He's the one that's guiding me. So
If you could give one piece of advice to the listener who was in your shoes at, let's say junior year in high school, lost identity,
yeah,
no purpose, or just confused, what would it be?
you'll never move up until you move on, right? A lot of times we hold on to things that is dead. And whether it's previous relationships or it's previous perspectives that we had of ourselves, where we thought we were supposed to be, you know, the life that we planned that we should have at this point, and we let it cripple us, right? It can be debilitating, but as long as you're holding on to that, you're never going to step into what's next. You know, let it go and let whatever it is that's meant to come, come. And it's going to be better, right? It's going to be better because look, life is hard and it, it doesn't get easier, but you get stronger,
Mm.
right? And I don't believe in failing when you're in a storm. I believe in you giving up, right? Because as long as you don't fail, the hard isn't going to get less hard. You're just going to get harder. And if you can stay strong through it, you're going to come out of it. And then the next storm's going to come. But at least you can look back at that storm and that's now a reference for you.
Yeah.
To either help you in your next storm or to help somebody else that's going through that storm. And that's one thing that I think like we should always hold on to is when you make it through the storm that you're dealing with, reach back and help somebody else up. So often we make it through storms in life and we forget about the people that are now in that same situation that you were in. What's the point of experience if you're not going to share it? Right? Like that's what experience is. It's not just for you. That's a very selfish like perspective. Experience is to help people who haven't experienced it yet. So you have to reach back and pull people up with you that were back in that same situation that you just, you know, honestly got lucky enough to make it through because we all know people that didn't make it all the way through.
Mm.
We made it through. We can call it, you know, strong will. We can call it, you know, a lot of it's luck, bro. Luck of the draw, you know, the fact that we wake up every day. So like reach back and help, you know, and that's what I try to do now, you know, that's what I try to do now. And I started a nonprofit. We go inside of prisons and they get to see someone that was once in their shoes, you know, and I get to encourage them, lift them up. You know, I created a class while I was incarcerated called I3, and it stands for Identify, Inspire, Integrate. And it's goal setting. You know, I help these people create goals and create a plan, a roadmap to reach those goals. We identify past traumas and negative behavior that led you to this situation. And then we identify the new person that you want to become. And we identify the obstacles that you're going to be faced trying to get to that new person. And we go through this course, and just to leave with a tangible view of this is the type of person I want to be for whoever it is, my daughter, my son. I want to make my mother proud before she passes away. Whatever it is, we find that focal point, and we create steps for you to become that person that's meant to fulfill that purpose, right? And we celebrate going through that course with, we did a basketball game at Snake River Correctional Institution where I was incarcerated at before. And shout out to, Houston Lillard, Damian Lillard. They sponsored that game.
Damian Lillard.
Yep. Got his jerseys, got his shoes. And we went in there and it was such a great time, man. Brought down about 200 inmates to sit inside the stands and watch. And they had an inmate team that was practicing for months before we got there, had a coach. They had plays. The staff had a choir that sang the national anthem. It was such a special thing. We got to do was pizza, soda, popcorn. We gave them a day, right, where they were no longer inside of a cage, right? We gave them a day where it's like, wow, like I matter and I'm important and I'm valued, because that's the only way for someone to commit to growth, is understanding that they carry value as well. Mm-hmm. So, I love what we do. Florida is asking us to get involved out here. Georgia, Utah, Idaho, wherever we can get to, we're going to bring this message of hope and connect people in the community that can be change makers and difference makers, because life is better when more people succeed, right? And so we've got to help each other succeed. And with these people coming home, like, they're humans and they have the right to contribute to society as well. And they need our help though. So
you want to shout out your foundation?
Yeah, the Side Door Foundation. Like I said, we bridge the gap between the community and prison rehabilitation. And so, we got our website, thesidedoorfoundation.org. Like I said, you can see more of our videos on my Instagram, Brett Hollins Jr., the Side Door Foundation Instagram. And, we're trying to bring change. We're trying to bring change. And I know that what we can create is something that can really impact the recidivism, because it's way too high. Mm. We don't have the privilege to let people, just die off in society. We don't have that privilege. We need everybody pulling together. And we have a lot of people coming home every year, 650,000 come home every single year. Wow. It's a lot of people. And just think about the extra help we could get if these people are ready and prepared to be productive in society. So, yeah.
Be good looks, man. I appreciate you coming out here and sharing your wisdom and knowledge with us.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.